Hello, good afternoon, friends. Let's get started. So this one is Flower Fields. Looks like this. And with this one, we're going to use some slick paint. I'll show you what that is. This is another really good one if you had grandma's broken candy dish or a goblet that you really love that you broke, or that it's just in the cabinet and you want to break it up and use it. You could wrap it in some denim or a trash bag and hit it with the hammer and you would have little chunks like this. Okay, so all of the kits are going to be a little bit different, but these are all pinks and yellows kits in this kit. We have all of our goodies. Hey, we have all of our pieces in here. Set this aside. All right, we have a front and a back. See how this one's really rough with our wood, with our nails. So they're all different. They're all going to be different. I think for this one, I'm going to use the really rough side with the nails. I'm going to put that at the bottom because having these in the sky might be a little bit distracting. Okay, we have our brush. We have paint. Go ahead and get out my paint and my cups. And this one just has one color of paint. It's the blue background for the sky. There's a lot in here. Once again, more than you'll ever need. You can squirt it out onto a paper plate if you'd rather. I just don't mind using these cups. I'm going to put a rough coat on here. I'm going to add a little bit of water to that. My water's a little bit green right now because it's dirty. I like dirty water to paint with. Okay, so in each of these kits, you get a tube of tulip paint. This is like a fabric paint. If you remember, if you did a lot of sweatshirts back in the 80s, we used these to decorate sweatshirts. We called it puffy paint, but puffy paint actually was like a different product, but we called this puffy paint. I don't know if you remember that or not. When I started using this in my glass art, I realized just how great this product is for pouring resin over. And if you look at it on here, you can see that it remains dimensional. It stays a little bit raised. And so when you pour resin on it, it catches the light. See that? And so that is really fun to use. Anything that's going to add dimension and the resin catches the light is so good to use with this type of art. So I like to use this to make my stems of the flowers. And I'm going to do it kind of quickly. The faster you go, the more natural it looks. And I want some short and some kind of tall and some in between. So I'm going to start down here at the bottom and just kind of drizzle back and forth. You see that? It's like a metallic pearl color, and it's okay that it gathers up at the bottom. That doesn't bother me. Just want some tall and some short. I kind of like the way it curls. See how it kind of does that curly thing? How many am I doing? I have no idea. A lot. Doing a lot of them. Now this one, it's really important that you let it dry. We're going to let this dry for probably overnight. It takes a while for this slick paint to dry before we pour resin on it. You can go ahead and do your glass on it right away though. So we have a whole bunch of stems there. Okay, I'm dumping out all my really cool pieces of glass here. You can use as few or as many of these that you like. You can bring in other pieces. You can do whatever you want, okay? Don't feel limited by what I put in your kit. You can make this your own however you'd like. These are all really pretty. Okay, so if I took out, look at the difference in the colors. If I took out these pinks and we just went with like the softer pink and the yellow and gold, look how different that composition would look than if we put in our pinks. Maybe we'd take out all of our yellows and it's just mostly pinks. See, it's a completely different look. So play around with it and do what you want. You may end up doing all of them. Okay, so this is like a stylized kind of abstract flower. But I like to think of the flowers as having a point at the bottom and flaring out at the top. I'm going to look at this. Most of these are a triangle shape. So I'm going to just start placing them on here wherever I want. Maybe that. Sprinkle them out sporadically. Maybe this flower goes that way. Play around with it. If you really want to be able to move stuff around and manipulate it a lot, I would let this slick paint dry overnight and then come back to it, and then you could move these pieces a lot. If I were to pick this piece up right now, it's going to have some of that slick paint on it, and then if I put it somewhere else, it might not, you know, you're not able to move it around and play with it as much if it's still wet as you would be if it were dry. Look how pretty all those yellows are on there, just the yellows. But I do like pink. Like I said, all the kits are in the same kind of color family. And this is all glass from just my collection. Might not use all of these. I don't know if I like that one. You may be the same way. You may pull some out and go, I'm not crazy about that. All right, I'm gonna move these aside. The next thing I'm gonna do for this little guy is sprinkling on some silver crushed glass. And I'm just gonna sprinkle it all along the bottom down here, just to kind of ground this piece. You're gonna have so much of this, you may not wanna use it all. Just to kind of ground this piece and make it feel like that's the earth. And I'm just sprinkling some up there. Put it in my hand. That might be a little bit easier. And let it kind of gradually float up. And there's our flowers. And this white is gonna dry really pearly. Look at this. See on this one how pearly white it is? So this is the same color as that one. And they're all a little bit different. There you go. I think this one I used less glass down here at the bottom, but your kit comes with a lot, so you can use as much or as little as you'd like on that. So you definitely want to make sure this one dries for probably overnight to make sure that that slick paint is really, really cured before you pour resin on it. So, you know how I had paint in these cups? You could wipe that out if you wanted to. Or if you're working on plastic, which you should be working on plastic, like a trash bag or something. Okay, so I'm just gonna turn these upside down like that. It's not gonna hurt anything because you've got your plastic here, okay? And I'm gonna set that up on the cup so it's like a little table. I just wanna make sure that that paint is dry. Okay, so your resin packet's gonna be like this. You're going to cut the top of it off like that, okay? Don't cut through the resin packet. This has all the safety information. If you want to read about it, you can do this indoors. You don't have to do it outside. I use only art resin because it has no VOCs. It has the highest UV rating on the market. I'm gonna go ahead and put my gloves on. Make sure if you do this, that you do this in an area that it's not going to be disturbed for about 12 to 18 hours because it's going to be really sticky for that long. And if you have something with dog hair or pet hair, human hair, dust, bugs, gnats, whatever it may be, you do not want to have anything land in it or fall in it because it'll be stuck there forever. Okay, I'm going to put this hanger aside. I just want you to know that on the back, all you have to do when you pull your piece up is set down your hanger and use a screwdriver. It helps if it's an electric screwdriver, and screw that in, okay? And that's what you'll do when it's all finished and dried. So I'm going to take my resin and slide this clip off, this pink clip, okay? This, and you can throw that part away. All right, so it's 2 parts, and you have part A and part B, and we're just gonna mix them together. Mix them together like this for 3 minutes. If you don't, it will remain sticky and it will never ever cure. So this is a good job for the kids to do, but mom or dad or aunt or uncle or whoever, make sure that you come in behind them and make sure they have really been working this packet for that long. And when we go to cut this, we're just gonna snip this corner up here and we're gonna drizzle. Okay, we're gonna start with the glass first. I'm not gonna start drizzling out here to the side on the wood because the glass is the most important part to cover, and it will drain down and hit the wood, and then it's gonna drain down and land on your plastic tarp underneath. You want to pour over the glass part first, and then it'll fill in all that other area. Squeeze some out of that corner there. Again, this is just like our ketchup packets or our paint packets. And not cut a very big corner because we need this whole packet to cover this whole piece, okay? I'm gonna start with the glass part. I know I need to cover that body there. And your resin will be warm enough after you've been massaging it and kneading it for that long. It'll be warm enough that it'll just drizzle down. But if you've kept it in a really cold environment, make sure you let it come to room temperature first. Okay, and I'm just drizzling over all of the glass first because it seeks the path of least resistance, so it's going to drain down between there. It's kind of like corn syrup, if you could imagine pouring corn syrup on this. And it'll drain down and hit that wood and spread out. This is what makes it so sparkly. Just remember, you have to be sure it is completely dry before you do this part. You don't want glue, you don't want any kind of wet paint, anything like that. Speaking of glue, if you're doing beads or something on here and you're having trouble with things staying where you want them to stay, you could just use a little bit of clear school glue. That works great to hold pieces in place until you can get them resined. I think we're good to go. I'm going to take my finger with my glove on it and kind of go around these sides and make sure these sides have some resin on them. You don't have to do that, but it will drip down on this side, and sometimes it looks just a little bit neater if you can clean up your sides like this. There we go, all set. All right, thank you all so much. Have a great day. Bye.